One of the endangered species that we have in Kansas is the black-footed ferret. First of all, I didn't know we had a black-footed ferret in Kansas. It used to cover 2/3 of Kansas. But with farmers killing the prairie dogs, which the ferrets use the prairie dog burrows as cover, but the farmers would kill the prairie dogs, which would poison the ferrets. There are very few prairie dog farms left in western Kansas, and that's where they think there may be a few ferrets still there. Another cause of them being endangered is rangeland being turned into cropland. Does anybody know the difference between rangeland and cropland?
Rangeland is like where you have your cattle graze, and cropland is like where you grow crops.
Correct. And more farmers are turning their rangeland into cropland because they can have corn crops that they can harvest for more than what they can get paid to have CRP grass for our animals. It not only affects ferrets, it affects our pheasants and quail. It endangers even the deer. The deer don't have bedding to lay down in. They're having a harder and harder time finding cover, safety from hunters, which I'm one of those. The next one that I'd like to talk to you about that is threatened is the lesser prairie chicken. Now there's a difference between the lesser prairie chicken and the greater prairie chicken. Can anybody see what the difference is right off? Okay.
The yellow and red.
Yes, the lesser has an orangish tint here and then above their eye. And the greater has more yellow here and here. Yes, hon?
And the greater has like the blues.
Yes, and this is a male. Males tend to be more colorful than females. And the blue signifies it's a mating ritual. They fluff up their tail when they want to mate with the female. Females are more just this color, and they don't show off so much color here.
Also, the greater one has like more feathers, it looks like
Yes, and they are bigger. They are anywhere from 2 to 4 inches bigger than the lesser prairie chicken. Now, the lesser prairie chicken used to cover 5 states. From Colorado, Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, and now there's very few in Kansas. They are trying to find out one reason, and one reason they have found this has happened is the wind turbines being built. They cannot find prairie chicken nest within a 1.5 mile radius of each wind turbine. And if you look, there's more and more being built every day. They can't, with that wind, they can't make a nest correctly. They don't get the right temperature for their eggs to hatch. And they're also thinking that is why there's less and less of pheasants and quail and turkey eggs as well. Is the wind turbines is just changing the whole environment everywhere from Nebraska all the way down to Texas. And then also, how they are being threatened is the CRP contracts are ending. Farmers, when their contracts come up, CRP is where farmers have grass built, prairie grass, for the animals to have a habitat to eat out of. And when farmers turn that into cropland, just like on the ferret, there is less and less of that for all of our wildlife. The size of the lesser prairie chicken, according to the Kansas Wildlife Guide, is 16 to 18 inches. and their habitat is dry, short grass, prairie grass. The third category is the troubled. I had never even heard of a common map turtle. They are more in southern Kansas, more by more reservoirs that end up creeks before it goes into Oklahoma. Many of the map turtles, especially the females, have a little thing on their beak that breaks open the mussels. With mussels being on the endangered list in the state of Kansas, it's less for the turtles to eat. So it just shows you how one animal can feed another, and if one's gone, then the next is going to go. And it's also the quality of the water. Does anybody know what happens to, if a farmer fertilizes their crops and it rains? What happens to that?
It goes into creeks and rivers.
And what happens to the quality of the water?
Down because it's polluted.
Yes. The level of, there's no level that can compare, what do I want to say? The amount of oxygen goes down due to the fertilizers going into the water. Kills off fish, kills off mussels. The water levels are going down due to drought. Mussels hold on to rocks, which are more on the edges of the lakes. Like Milford Lake's down 15 feet. So if you go around the rocks on the edge, you can see all the little mussels on the rocks. And so that's less for all the turtles to eat. There are some fish that eat mussels. And even otters, badgers, all those types of things will eat mussels for their protein. There are a few programs out there that are working on finding ways to prevent and to help keep the species from getting endangered. A few of the programs are the Flint Hills Conservation. Like the Quonset Prairie, there's no cropland, they're trying to keep the prairie there so that animals can have the habitat and the food supply. The Milford Nature Center. There they spawn their own fish and release them back into the lake. Did anyone know that? It's a really neat facility. It's the Milford Fish Hatchery. It's right there by the Nature Center, and they'll give you a tour of it. It is wonderful to go in and see. And there's even hikes that you can go, and they've got trees marked with the names of them. And the Kansas Wildlife and Parks. Those are our wildlife conservationists, our game wardens. They keep track of the pollution amounts in our water, anywhere from trash to the amount of oxygen versus the pollutants in the water. When I had interviewed Tabitha, she had known of a few of the programs, which were the Milford Nature Center, because she really would like me to take her to the fish hatchery, and the Wildlife Parks and Rec. There are a few things that even you guys and I can do to help in making sure that we can keep some of these animals and species around for your further generations, your children, your grandchildren. One of the major ones is pollution. Throwing trash out the window, plastic bags, recycling. Plastic bottles can be reused, or you can use the metal canteens instead of plastic bottles. That's where it comes into the, you've got your paper recycle, you've got your cans, and you've got your bottles. And just always try to remember, if you see a piece of trash by the lake, by the water, in the field, anywhere, pick it up. That's the first step that we can all do, is just pick up a piece of trash and it'll help one animal. And if we can all help one, there will be so much more around for all of us to see. Thank you for your patience with me today.